Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 10th episode of One Chapter Wonder. I am honestly just in shock that we're at 10 episodes of this thing now, because it feels like we kind of just started it up, you know. Good morning, Melissa. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. I wish you could have been in this early last week for your reading, but here we go. We have some really exciting books coming up today, so I'm really keen to get stuck in. We've got a full 3 readings. We've got a paranormal, we've got a mafia thriller, and I think a gothic horror. If I'm remembering correctly, I could be wrong. So we'll have a look. And I think we're gonna just get started. I don't have any book mail to unwrap today. As far as I can think of, I don't have any news. We are inside 2 months until her Crown of Fire is released, though, which I find rather terrifying. But on that front, everything's just... it's just moving pretty smoothly, so I don't really have any updates, I don't have any complaints or anything. I'm just starting to get the nervous hibbity-jibbities, so... it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I know a lot of the reviewers now... oh god, I got lipstick on my teeth. You were watching last week's show, excellent read. Thank you, Mr. Fagan. I did see your comment about the scar. And I've managed to, it's right here, but I've managed to cover it up with a lot of makeup. She just flew at me and like tried to climb my face to get on top of my head where she likes to be. And I just got like sharp birdie claws, because they won't let us trim their nails because they're birds. If anyone has a pet who lets them trim their nails, I'll be incredibly surprised. Okay, I kind of just want to get stuck into it. I really want to start off with one of our authors who has repeat submitted. She submitted like way back when this show was in its first conception. Yeah, she loves me by scrabbling my face to pieces. Nathan, welcome to the stream, my dude. Welcome. I think we're going to start off with Danielle Koste's repeat submission today, which I'm really excited for, and the cover is gorgeous. So let me have a quick look. Where'd she put them all? There it is. Okay. I really need to make that a separate window. I was just saying I've been doing this for like 3 months now. Yet somehow I'm still awful at it. Okay. Ah, that's better. There we go. Alright. So this is our paranormal romance. Family drama, I think it is. I'm already so excited. Welcome to the stream, Mr. Love. How's it going? Oh, I always get nervous when the authors are in the chat. So I'm just kind of like... but we'll be fine. It's all good. Just, I can already feel I'm going to get the pink... like flushes again, so not awful, just slightly getting better. Dude, have you been sick? That's no good. It's been your summer. How did you get sick? Okay. Oh man. Okay, so check out this cover. She sent this to me and I just was like, holy shit. I need this book. I don't know if it's in paperback, but I want it in paperback. Not awful, just getting slightly better. No, what? Okay. Thanks, Mr. Fagan. Okay, so this is our paranormal romance, What the Flower Says of Death, Chapter 1 by Danielle Koste. My grandparents' estate was not how I remembered. When I was young, the rolling acres seemed never-ending against the forget-me-not horizon, and the modest Victorian-style manor felt stately and royal, like a palace. I recalled playing in the Technicolor garden, violets in the air and grass stains on my tights. Feeding the sheep and goats, their fuzzy lips tickled my palm. Going on horseback rides along the ocean with my grandfather, salt tangled in my ashy hair. I spent many summers there as a child. Whenever my mother felt stifled by my incessant needs, I visited my grandparents for a few weeks. As I grew older and became more capable of taking care of myself, the trips waned to once in a blue moon. It had been 8 years since my last day. Returning was underwhelming. I'm sorry, I'm all over the shop today. Unlike the warm, dewy summers, fall in Newport was desaturated and still, making my grandparents' oceanside residence appear foreboding. The white fence surrounding the property had faded to a cinder grey. The house's exterior, once a vibrant yellow, was now sun-bleached and dulled with dirt and grime. Maple trees lined straight and neat on either side of the dusty road leading to the house, their old age showing with patchy autumn leaves and skeletal silhouettes. I was akin to them, spindly fingers gripping tight onto the last of their beauty, as the winter threatened to strip them bare. I'd once remembered this place having so much life, but death had touched it since then. Fitting that I was spending my next few months here, as I'd also recently been touched by death. Sorry, sometimes I read ahead because it gets really exciting. You meant jokingly, gosh. I tucked a bitten fingernail under the bandages binding my wrist, scratching at the forever inchy skin beneath. If I'd known I would be caught, I wouldn't have slit my wrist. Oh, I loathed the idea that I now had to live with the scar. There's an ambulance, hold up. No cheating, I know, but sometimes I get too excited. It's still going. I don't know if anyone watched my unboxing video, but I revealed the book and then just started reading the book while I was filming. I had to cut a lot out. Battle wound, I tried reminding myself. A scar was what my mother called it while expressing disappointment in my now tarnished skin. Something unsightly, something to be covered up and hidden, like why I did it. This is a hard hitter this morning. Remember, Vi, you're to do as your nan says. You'll help with the chores and take care of Grampy. I rolled my eyes. Grampy's in a coma. What care could I possibly provide? My mother opened her mouth, her frosty gaze saying she was about to snap at me, but she found the willpower to hold her tongue. I smirked to myself over the minute victory. I wasn't looking to start a fight, but I was bitter, and she knew I sat on a short fuse. Rightfully so, since she was ditching me 200 miles from home only 10 days after a suicide attempt. I guess her daughter's troubling desire to kill herself wasn't enough to make my mother wake up and smell the fragrance of her own neglect. Holy crap. Hang on. That's the tea. I gnawed at my lip, my annoyance itching as violently as my stitched-up wrist. I was angry that she was running away again, but maybe it was for the best. I didn't want to be around her for a second longer. I opened the car door before my mother brought it to a complete stop, forcing her to slam the brakes. She followed me out of the car with an exhausted huff. Violet, please, I just need some time to think. To figure out what to do. I don't know how to handle all this. I'll be back for your birthday, she reasoned, always stifling a note of frustration when talking to me. This mum is a bitch. Fragrance of own neglect. I want to steal that. I know, right? God, this is... Whew. I retrieved my duffel bag from the back seat and slammed the door closed, sending a sharp glare at her over the hood of the car. As a teen filled to the brim with unnecessary angst, everything came out of my mouth far more poisonous than intended, so I committed to the toxicity. Why do you only seem to be able to think when I'm not around? My mother stared at me, a deep wrinkle appearing between her brows like I'd wounded her. She opened her mouth to reply, but the front door of the aging house opened and my grandmother stepped out onto the veranda. There was a smile on her face, but it shrunk a fraction when she felt the heat from the conversation she'd interrupted. I turned back to my mother, shutting my eyes to settle my anger. I'm sorry. Just do what you need to do. I always ended up apologizing, every time, because a small part of me always hoped she'd change, that she'd suddenly see the errors of her ways, tell me to get back into the car and take me home, and we could resolve it like a real mother and daughter. My apology just gave her permission to not feel guilty, though. She sat back down into the driver's seat and took off with little more than a goodbye. I watched her drive away until the dreary grey swallowed our silver sedan in the seaside fog. Thanks for that, Danielle. Once released from the paralysing disappointment, I turned, slipping past my grandmother as she held the door open. I avoided her gaze so she wouldn't be forced to hold her sugary smile any more. I knew she was doing it. She was so much like my mother and me. I glanced around the entryway instead. It was as I remembered, yet hauntingly different. It wasn't the warm, welcoming home away from home it used to be. Now it felt cold and quiet. Smelled of stale air, just as in the hospital. The comparisons made my mouth dry and my skin itch, as if my wrist wasn't the only part of my body covered in uncomfortable gauze. The spare room is tidied up for you. I left some boxes in there, so it's a bit cluttered, but I don't expect you to be spending all your time in your room while you're here anyway. Her frigid tone suggested she was as apprehensive of me being there as I was. Sorry. I didn't blame her. There was enough on her plate with taking care of the estate and my grandfather by herself. I guess I understood now how much she might need my help, even if it was simply one of my mother's weak excuses. But did she want my help? That curiosity didn't have such an easy conclusion. I felt like nothing more than a burden, only there on suicide watch. Another unresponsive body for her to tend to. Let me know if there's something I can help with, I answered. I didn't exactly want to do anything, and I wasn't sure how the offer would hold up if she ever decided to take me up on it. But I didn't want my grandmother sore with me before even making bed. All I wanted to do was curl up and sleep through the winter. But if she wasn't going to allow it, then I might as well try to help make our time together as painless as possible. I'm making dinner at 6, she said, locking the front door and heading upstairs without another word. I heard the beeps of a heart monitor before she disappeared behind a closed door at the top of the stairs, leaving me alone. Whew! Well, okay. Yeah, so how's everyone else's Saturday doing? Wow. That was amazing. I love the lyrical prose in that. We've got a compelling main character. We've already got a mystery. Family drama was also listed in this description. So let me just have a quick look. I want to see if I can buy this in paperback because, boy, I need that cover. Danielle Koste. Oh! It's available for sale. I'll check out if it's available in paperback. Some solid stuff there, right? Damn, I know, right, Mr. Fagan? Whew. Well. I love her stuff. That was the second reading I've done of Danielle's on this show, and I loved the first one just as much. You're driving in the rain? Well, I think then now would be a good time for a little bit of City of Red. I am also. I have done a bunch of stuff on your snapshot, Mr. Love. I just now need to do the audio, which I may end up doing after the show today because my voice is all ready to go. Ready for action. You need to write this down. Which one? That it's for sale? Oh my god, so good. That cover. Anyway, I'll stop gushing over a new fave. Woo-wee-wee! Oh my god, I'm so excited for this. Okay. The author, yes. Yes, she's amazing. She's really active on Twitter as well, so if you follow her, she tweets a lot. It's great fun. Okay, I'm already going to apologise off the bat for the many names in this I'm probably going to mispronounce, but I will just try and plough on through. So our next one is City of Red by C.A. Love. Wait, wrong one. There we go. Best host ever. This is our crime family. Our mafia thriller. There is swearing. I'm so excited. Yeah. Sorry, I just skimmed over it. I'm so excited. Okay. Just gonna have some tea. Okay. And we're going to turn the music down because that's got nothing to do with the reading. Okay. This is Chapter 1 of City of Red by C.A. Love. Cold Harbor City, 1965. Tommy Scaramucci tapped his fingers nervously on the steering wheel of his car. The car was a rusted-out 1961 Ford Starliner. Tommy had always been quick to point out two things about his car. One, it was his. Nobody bought it for him or helped him get it. Two, the Ford Starliner was the only Ford when it came out in 1961 that could be equipped with the performance package, and his was equipped. Is that an innuendo? Where is he? Tommy said, checking his side and rearview mirror. I swear to God, Paul, if Alfonso fucks this up, I'm gonna kill him. He won't, Paul replied, annoyed. It's Alfonso, Tommy boy. Relax before you give yourself a heart attack or something. I can't relax, Paulie. This job is too big. Do you know what this will mean if we pull this off? Huh? All we gotta do is jack that armoured truck over there and we'll be fucking made, you hear me? But if Alfonso doesn't show up before that truck rolls out, we're screwed. Paul Castellino glared at the armoured truck across the road. Tommy and Paul were parked just across the highway in the parking lot that belonged to Richter's Industries. The armoured truck was idling just inside the Luster Diamond Emporium, ready to leave at any moment. Somehow, Paul always seemed to find himself stuck between Tommy and Alfonso. Those two clashed like, well, brothers. That's what they were, despite what Blood had to say about it. Paul exhaled and secretly said a prayer so Alfonso might be able to make it in time. 3 fucking guards, Tommy continued to complain. 2 guards in the cab, 1 guard in the box. 3 guards, Paulie. I hear you, Tommy boy, just calm down. We've got this. Then where the fuck is Alfonso? I'm gonna... May I skip the the sex scene? My whole being just blushed. I didn't pre-read these. I'm gonna find the next appropriate bit so I won't get banned off of YouTube. They have similar terms of service to Twitch, so I won't be able to read it. Also, I'll die. No, I'm not going to say it, Mr. Fagan. Oh shit. Oh shit. Can I just give you guys like a rundown? This guy is with a chick, and her husband just got home. Okay, I'm going to just skip to where the husband walks in because otherwise I'm just going to like melt into a puddle of embarrassment. This is what I get for not pre-reading. I'm so sorry, Mr. Love. I'll try and PG it. Wanda? Her husband called out. His voice sounded muffled and distant coming through the bedroom door. Wanda, that's her name, Alfonso remembered. Wanda wasn't trying to hide what she was doing, not at all. And the closer her husband got to the bedroom, the louder she became. Oh dear. Wanda, the husband said, standing just outside the bedroom. Wanda wailed. Sorry, I turned into a teenager. Finally, the bedroom door flung open, slamming into the wall and knocking picture frames onto the floor. What the fuck, Wanda? Wanda looked up at her husband through locks of her curly red hair and smiled. It's a power play. You little motherfucker, the man shouted at Alfonso. He jumped over the top of his wife, nearly grabbing Alfonso, but the hold lasted only seconds because of how sweaty Alfonso had become. Amazing. Experience in these situations had taught Alfonso one thing: have a clear exit strategy. Alfonso placed one foot on the chair, simultaneously grabbing his clothes and shoes off the small desk, and leapt through the open window. All of this he had pre-planned before he and Wanda even started. Alfonso soared through the air, stark naked, landing on his shoulder. Ow! He bounced off the roof of his car and landed hard on the grass. Hitting the car as he did wasn't part of the plan. Alfonso was hurt, but it didn't slow him down. He sped away in his car, getting dressed on the way to meet up with Tommy and Paul. He was... Wow. Yeah, I recommend buying this. I'm not going to read it out loud, but I will go back and read it later. That was me trying to wiggle my eyebrows. Tommy stared into his side mirror, hoping that he would see Alfonso appear so they could get on with their job. Shit, Paul exhaled. The truck's leaving. I told you, Paulie, Tommy shouted. We're screwed. Everything we ever done now is shit worthless because Alfonso doesn't know how to be fucking on time. Well, I mean, he did. At that very moment, Alfonso tapped on Paul's window. Paul opened the door and Alfonso climbed into the back seat. The truck's leaving. I made it just in time, huh? Alfonso chuckled, adjusting his clothing. You're about to give Tommy boy a stroke up here, Al. Tommy checked for traffic, then pulled into the road. A traffic-conscious mobster. I approve. He had to catch up with the truck, but once he did, Tommy asked, "Where were you?" "I had a prior engagement that couldn't be missed," Alfonso said. "The redhead?" Paul asked. "The redhead," Alfonso replied with a smile. "How was she?" Paul asked. Alfonso put his thumb together with 4 fingers and spread them apart again after kissing all 5. Like chef's kiss? "Unbelievable, dude. You know how important this job is," Tommy started. "Sammy said if we pull this off, we're in. He'll sponsor us and everything, and you risk it all for a piece of ass." "Not just a piece of ass, it was wonder," Alfonso boasted. "And this is better for everyone. I'm lighter on my feet after I get me some." Everyone's fucked Wanda, Tommy shouted. My God, I hope there's no minors watching this. I can't mark this stream as mature on YouTube. If I get a warning, Mr. Love, I'm sending it straight to you. The armoured car stopped at a red light several miles just outside the city. A moment later, its engine rumbled loud as it started again. A few more miles down the road, security guard Tom Hobson brought the truck to a slow stop. What in the hell is this?" Hobson said. His thick southern accent made everything he said seem less serious. "Oh, his car, right, he's got the thing about his car. Yeah. I love it. Character consistency." It looks like a car, Tom," Guard Fallon said from the passenger seat. Sitting across the width of the road was Tommy's 1961 Ford Fairlane, but no one was inside. Guards Hobson and Fallon both looked around the vicinity, and there was not a soul to be seen as far as the tree line 50 feet or so off the edge of the road. "I know it's a car, Doug," Hobson said wryly. "My question is, why in the hell is it just sitting there?" A small door in the wall between the two men slid open. "What's going on?" Guard Quarles asked. Wendell Quarles was the third guard inside the armoured truck, and was tasked with sitting with the merchandise in the back. "Dunno," Fallon replied. "We got a car just sitting in the middle of the road." Fallon leaned out of the way so Quarles could get a clear view. "Just go around," Quarles answered. "I don't know," Hobson said. "What if it's some kind of setup?" "So what if it is?" Quarles shot back. "We're in an armoured truck. No one can get in unless they have the keys." That was when Tommy stuck his head up over the car. Tommy was waving his arms in the air and shouting for help while pointing at the ground by his feet. "I think they might need help," Fallon said, sitting forward in his seat. He could feel the adrenaline pumping through his body. "I'm going to see," Fallon said finally, then opened the door. "No!" Hobson shouted, but it was too late. "Oh, shit, yeah, it's on!" Alfonso and Paul had been lying in wait alongside the parked truck, hoping for a door to open. They knew their plan was weak before today. Tommy had said as much. But they got lucky, and a door did open. Paul yanked the door away from Fallon and opened it the rest of the way. Alfonso grabbed the guard and pulled him the rest of the way out of the truck into the ground. Quarles slid the small door closed and hoped he could avoid any conflict by hiding quietly in the back. Sorry, you've got a really humorous sense of writing, and I can't stop laughing. Alfonso held Fallon at gunpoint while Paul climbed into the truck. Paul pressed the barrel of his gun to the guard's cheek and said, "Take the keys out of the ignition and hand them to me." Hobson handed the keys to Paul without hesitation. Then Paul tossed the keys to Alfonso, who then handed the keys to Tommy. Tommy unlocked the large doors located at the very back of the armoured truck. He climbed into the back and quickly removed the gun from Quarles' belt, then placed it in a pocket in the back of his pants. Located at the front of the vault were large bags of cash. 25 bags of cash piled up. On any other day, going for the cash would be the most important thing to do, but this armoured truck belonged to Luster Diamond Emporium. The diamonds were kept in specifically designed pull-out drawers along the walls of the truck. Tommy slid open one of the drawers and took the small bag of diamonds out. He opened the bag and peered inside at the shiny things and laughed. Then he stuffed the small satchel into his pants pocket. Tommy got quite a few satchels full of diamonds stuffed inside his pockets before Alfonso and Paul arrived. Yeah, they're not going to see any of those diamonds. They entered the vault of the truck with one duffel bag. While Paul and Tommy filled the duffel with the satchels of diamonds, Alfonso carried 2 heavy cash bags at a time to the trunk of the Fairlane. After the heist, Alfonso and his crew parked in an old abandoned parking lot belonging to one of the many condemned buildings in Cold Harbor City. The area was secluded with trees encompassing the entire lot. Tommy opened the trunk of his car and unzipped several bags of money. Neither had seen so much cash all at once. The temptation to take some was strong. "Should we?" Paul said. "I mean, what the Scarlattis care about more is the diamonds. They won't care about a few thousand missing from the cash." "Believe me, Paulie, Vinnie Scarlatti cares about the diamonds and the cash," Alfonso replied. Paul grabbed a stack of cash and flipped through the bills, smelling it. "I could pay off my tab at, well, everywhere," Paul said. "We can't," Alfonso said. "If Vinnie Scarlatti finds out we stole from him, we're dead." "How would he ever fucking know?" Tommy asked. "What would any of these assholes ever fucking know that we stole from them? It's not like they knew how much there was going to be on that truck. If we take some, all we got to do is make sure we tell them the same story. It's all there. What they count is what was on that truck." "Sounds like a good idea, actually," Paul said, cutting his eyes to Alfonso. "Paulie, we can't. It's too risky," Alfonso said, feeling annoyed that they were still talking about stealing from Vinnie Scarlatti of all people. "That's fucking rich," Tommy said. "You can't even take what we do serious enough to show up on time, but you call the shots? You get to tell us if we can or can't take some of this money for ourselves. Life hasn't been so easy for us, Al. Not everyone has a mummy that takes care of them." Alfonso moved closer to Tommy. The anger and rivalry between the two were just about to reach their breaking point when Paul said, "I agree with Alfonso." "What?" Tommy hissed. "All I'm saying is," Paul started, "is that we've been working a while with the Scarlatti family. Sammy's been handing us jobs and we've been doing them, and we never stole once. And things has paid pretty good doing it that way, so no reason to get greedy now, right?" Tommy closed the bags in the trunk. "Bitches." I'm loving this. I feel like it would be better read out in an American accent. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I hope my Australian accent isn't butchering it. A week had passed since their successful armoured truck robbery. A whole week which felt like a year to Alfonso, Paul and Tommy. They had been ready to take the oath for years. A murder. To be made. To become wise guys. That would have been better in an American accent. Finally, the phone rang at 1984 May Drive. I thought it was a date, sorry. "The Machete residence," Maria Machete said, answering the phone in her kitchen. "He's here," Maria replied. "Hang on a moment, okay?" Maria walked to the kitchen doorway and yelled, "Alfonso, you have a call." Alfonso came to the phone a moment later and answered it. "Yeah?" "Hey, Alfonso, it's Sammy Scarlatti." "Yo, Sammy, what's up?" "Hey, listen close, alright? I'm only going to be saying it once. Be outside your place and ready to go by 8 o'clock sharp tonight. And wear something nice, you understand?" Oh, I find myself wanting to try and do the accent, but I'm not going to try. "I'll be ready, Sammy," Alfonso said. Then Sammy Scarlatti hung up. Maria could see the smile across Alfonso's face. "What is it?" she asked. "Nothing, Mum, nothing. I can't say anything, I mean." Maria was letting the subject drop, but Alfonso came back and said, "But have you ever wanted a bigger place or a better car or something like that?" "What in the world are you talking about, Alfonso?" Maria said, laughing. "I'm just saying, after tonight, I might be able to help out a lot more." Maria hugged her son, gazed into his eyes with all the love in her heart and said, "You help out plenty." "I know, but if I can help out more, then I will." Oh no, something's gonna happen to his mum. Okay, yep. At 8 o'clock sharp, Alfonso was outside his home, ready, just as Sammy Scarlatti had told him to be. For the occasion, Alfonso was wearing his finest suit. It wasn't something fancy or expensive. It was just the suit he wears to Mass every Sunday, but it was his finest suit. Nothing less for what was about to occur. Oh my god, he's gonna die. A black BMW pulled in front of 1984 May Drive at 2 minutes past 8. Alfonso opened the back door of the car and got in. Sammy Scarlatti was in the passenger seat. One of Sammy's soldiers, a man by the name of Victor Tuco, was driving the car. In the back, along with Alfonso, was Paul. They nodded at one another when Alfonso got in. They wanted to do more than nod. They were excited, nervous, but they played it cool. And they waited for Tommy to join them, and they waited for when Tommy would join them, but he never did. Oh my god, they're going to kill Tommy. Oh my god. The betrayal. The car parked along the curb outside the brick house located at 62025 Herscher Avenue. Alfonso nor Paul knew whose home it was. Once they were inside the house, Sammy said, "Take a seat on the couch, gentlemen." Alfonso and Paul sat down. Sammy Scarlatti walked away. Outside the home, Victor Tuco kept the car running while he leaned back on the hood having a smoke. I'm so nervous right now. All the lights were off except for a dim light in the kitchen. It cast a soft glow across the breadth of the rooms. While Alfonso and Paul were alone, they refused to break the silence, although they were dying to talk. Both were waiting for the other to speak first. Finally, Paul couldn't take it any longer. "Where in the hell is Tommy?" Paul kept his voice low. "I was wondering that too," Alfonso replied, also whispering. "So, what does this mean? He's not here? Does that mean he isn't getting made?" Paul asked. "Alfonso Machete," Sammy Scarlatti called out. Alfonso gave Paul a nod, then stood up. "Go down this hall," Sammy said. "At the end there is a door. Open it and walk inside." Ooh. Alfonso entered the room alone. Inside the nearly completely bare room was a round table. Sitting at the table were 3 men. Wally Scarlatti, Salvatore Aurelio, and the Don, Vinnie Scarlatti. Ah, that's who they were going to steal from. I know, Mr. Fagan. "Sammy says good things about you," Vinnie said. Vinnie was old. He turned 74 last month, but he didn't sound 74, neither did he appear so. The Don of the Scarlatti family looked strong. His large, broad shoulders made him look twice as big sitting at that table. "Good things. You did a good job on that armoured car, too," Vinnie continued. "Yes. Colour us impressed," Salvatore said, sounding quite unimpressed. Salvatore Aurelio, underboss to Vinnie, was wearing a lilac-coloured button-down shirt, tightly tucked into his creased black dress pants. Salvatore's necktie was violet-coloured with intricate white lines darting in all directions. Ah, the 60s. "You know why you're here, Alfonso?" Vinnie asked. "No," Alfonso replied. Alfonso knew, of course, but the proper answer to give was no. "Do you know everybody in this room?" Vinnie asked. "Yes," Alfonso replied. Alfonso was being truthful, although he had never met Vinnie nor Salvatore before. Is it Salvatore or Salvatore? "In this family we cherish honesty and loyalty," Vinnie continued. "You have demonstrated these characteristics that we cherish for quite some time. You're about to be accepted as a member of the Scarlatti family, Alfonso." Vinnie stood and approached Alfonso. Wally and Salvatore did the same. Alfonso was now surrounded. Oh no. Enclosed in a circle, Vinnie revealed a sharp pin, then pricked the tip of Alfonso's right index finger, his trigger finger. Oh, cool. A small drop of blood formed on the tip. "This oath you're taking, honor it," Vinnie said. "If told, would you kill a man?" "Yes, Don Vinnie," Alfonso replied. The second way is Salvatore? Okay. Wait, I can't remember which one I said first. "If told, would you kill yourself?" "Yes, Don Vinnie," Alfonso replied. Vinnie handed the pin to Salvatore. I'm not sure if it's either one now. Then revealed a small picture of the Virgin Mary. Vinnie flicked a lighter in his hand. The Don held the picture over the flame, catching it on fire. Then he placed the picture in the palm of Alfonso's right hand. Oh, this is weird. The picture withered as it got hotter and hotter. It hurt, but Alfonso didn't move a muscle. Vinnie Scarlatti continued. "Just as this card burns in your hand, may your soul burn in hell if you ever betray this family. You enter alive. Your only exit is death. Now toss the picture on the table, Alfonso." Toss the table on the picture, my God. Salvatore, like door? Okay, thank you. Alfonso did. Then Vinnie grabbed Alfonso tightly by his arms and said, "Just as that picture vanishes from this earth, so will you if you ever betray me. You are reborn now. Your life before is over, and this is your new life. We are your family." Epic. Victor Tuco parked the black BMW in front of 1984 May Drive. "Hey, give us a minute, will you, Vic?" Sammy said. "Sure thing, boss," Victor Tuco replied. Victor got out of the car and walked to the other side of the street and lit a cigarette. Sammy turned in his seat to face Alfonso and Paul. "I bet you were wondering why you got baptized tonight, but not your boy Tommy." "Well, here's the problem with Tommy. During the armoured car heist, he stole from us." "What do you mean he stole?" Alfonso shouted. He took something that wasn't his. What the fuck do you think I mean when I say stole, Sammy replied. Tommy boy stole a shit ton of diamonds, Sammy added. Wait, Paul started. If Tommy stole, how are we not dead? You're lucky. You two remember that guard, the one that opened the door for you? He's an associate of the family. Oh. He found out from the guard in the back of the truck that before the two of you arrived, Tommy filled his pockets with diamonds. Our diamonds. I told you, I called it. I totally called it. I'm so happy with myself right now. Fuck, Paul said. That's just my favourite line of dialogue. Yeah, well, it gets worse, Sammy continued. After hearing about the diamonds, we checked up on this Tommy Scaramucci. Found out this guy's been stiffing us since the very beginning, which leads me to this. I got a job for the two of you. Remember what my father said? We cherish loyalty and honesty. Tommy Scaramucci has offended the Don, and now he has to pay that price. Fuck Tommy, Alfonso said. I want the two of you to pay Tommy Boy a visit. Whack him, and get those diamonds. And hey, I want you to know I don't envy you. What you're about to do is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your entire lives. And I know what you're thinking. Whack my friend. He's like a brother to me. How can we do that to him? I'll tell you how. You go to his place and put a bullet in his head when he ain't looking at you. You do it that way, so you might be able to sleep again sometime soon. Or you could let fear get the best of you and then get dead, because I'll kill all three of you myself. That was awesome! Thank you for letting me feel like a badass mobster by getting to say some really cool lines. That was awesome! I'm so excited to read the rest of that. Is it, if you can type, if you're driving in the rain, please don't reply. But is it available in paperback? Oh. Yeah, that was kick-ass. Yeah, it was brilliant, hey. Thank you for joining in tonight, Mr. Fagan. I always enjoy hanging out with you. Oh. Yeah, I'll message you via Twitter DM afterwards, Mr. Love, because I want to get some details about this book. Okay. It's feeling good. It's feeling... Oh, you're home, okay. Yeah, good. Just want to make sure that no one is, like, texting while driving. It's available in paperback. Awesome. As you can see, I don't have enough books to read. This is my to-read pile. My own book is in there, but that doesn't count. On Amazon and Kindle. Cool. Awesome. Man, it's feeling good today. Like, my throat isn't hurting. And I'm just, like, vibing with these books. I vibe with every book that is submitted to this show, but I got to feel like a cool mobster. I almost said monster. You want my sword? It's only a training sword. It's not sharp or anything, but I could conk someone with it and they wouldn't be very happy about it. That being said, I'm not very strong, so maybe I wouldn't do anything. Oh, man. Okay, our last one today is this our paranormal? It's our gothic horror. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is a work in progress, so this one isn't available for sale yet, I don't think. I'll just double check that. No. It is available for sale, but I couldn't find a cover for it. My apologies. I'll just have to edit something really quickly. Because I don't want to give out incorrect information on my show. So, this one is O Negative by Alice de Sampaio Kalkuhl. I'm really sorry if I pronounced it wrong. I practiced and practiced. You're really good. You made it sound better, actually. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Love. That is, like, the highest of praise. I've actually had a lot of people say that listening to it being narrated has helped them fix the flow of their sentences or get rid of like clunky sentences, or even because sometimes I accidentally narrate typos as well, and so people have gone back and managed to like clean up the chapter after it's been narrated. So that hearing that, I was like, that's pretty neat. I'm helping. Okay, so this is our gothic horror O Negative. Right, I could do it. Alice de Sampaio Kalkuhl. Just please tell me if I got that wrong, Alice. I'm really, really sorry. I honestly spent like 5 minutes before the stream started practicing it. Oh, this is gonna be awesome. No, stop reading it. I always read the books at the moment. I just can't stop myself from reading them. Okay, this is a nice, decent-sized first chapter for us to end the show on today. So, I'm pretty excited for a gothic horror. Okay, let's get stuck in. This is a Nightmares of History novella as well. So there should be more in this series. Oh, cool. When Paddy woke up, he felt another body. A body with smooth skin pressed against his own. 2 sex scenes in one episode. It took him a moment to realize that the reason he could feel the skin was that they were both naked. Why would they be naked? Read City of Red and you'll find out. Paddy's head had already hurt before he had started to think about his situation, but now it was nearly unbearable. He could not think of a reason why there should be someone naked next to him, until he remembered that he was naked too. He tried to raise his arm to his forehead, but for some reason he was not strong enough. There was a sound. It took Paddy a moment of concentration to realize that it was a voice. "I shouldn't have done that. I'm so sorry. She stuttered, and he could not imagine why. To Paddy, the female voice that mumbled apology after apology was miles away. Who was she apologizing to? Him? Nobody ever apologized to Paddy. Not only did no one ever need to, no. Paddy was also the kind of man who was not intimidating enough to apologize to. Slowly, he nearly did not want to. Paddy opened his eyes and was mesmerized. The woman next to him, the one with the worried voice, was of such beauty that Paddy could not imagine at all how he could have gotten her into his bed. He could not understand what such an ethereal woman would want with his pale and freckled body. In contrast with the woman he had seen naked during his time as a soldier, the ones that had been willing to do anything for a few coins, this woman was not marked by famine and sorrow. Yes, she looked almost unnaturally healthy. Though she was slim, there was not a single mark on her skin. Her lips were red and full. Paddy could not help but to wonder what she had done during the war to avoid all the sorrow. "What's your name, by the way?" asked the beauty. Even her voice had the sound of perfection to it. It was terrifying. Not that Paddy had ever seen a beautiful woman, and to be honest, she was not even the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. This guy's kind of a dick. But she had something about her. Paddy could not quite tell what made him think this, though. He did, however, want to maintain a basic politeness. Paddy Kelly, what's yours? I mean, your name." Of course he meant her name. What else could he mean? Paddy could have hit himself for his stupidity. It did not even matter if the woman he was talking to was beautiful or not. He always managed to make a fool of himself, just as if it was a law of nature. What must she think of him? But then again, nobody thought well of him. "Tess Le Fanu, but now you can call me Tess," said the beauty. Now he noticed how hard her voice was. Unlike what could have been expected from such a pretty face, there was no sympathy in the way she spoke. Just like everything else about her, the name was unusual in an elegant way. He wondered where it was from. It sounded neither Irish nor English to him. Was it French? "Hi, Chipmunk, how's it going?" That sounds elegant. Paddy could have hit himself. Could he really not think of anything better to say than elegant? She looked like she was about to laugh at him, but instead she just took his hand. Instead of calming him, though, it made Paddy even more nervous. He had never been more aware that he was naked, and he was sure that his cheeks were slowly turning red. "Yours and mine both, bud." Her cold fingers held his with a firm grip. Oh my god, she's a vampire. I'm just making assumptions today, that's my thing. "Thank you, Paddy." He could not understand why she had said his name with such kindness. "I have an offer to make you. You want to be a famous and amazing violinist, do you not?" Everything about this question screamed that it was a trap. Oh my god, it's totally a trap. A bit like an open door into an old dungeon that no one had opened for ages for good reason. But then again, Paddy had never been the most careful person. It must be her perfume, he decided. He had no idea what it was, but it had such a calming smell, truly nice. Almost shocked at himself, he realized that he wanted to pull her closer, back to the bed, and just hold her. Not even in a sexual way, just hold her because it was a good day. All insecurity that he had had before faded as he looked at her. But you demanded me, she said with confusion on her face. He demanded her? When did he do that? The last thing Paddy could remember was minding his own business and walking home. By now he was sure that he had slept with her, and he was pretty certain that he would have remembered had he demanded such a thing of a woman. Surely he would not sink that low, would he? I did no such thing, he said. Paddy was getting defensive, and that was no good thing, but the longer he looked at her still naked frame, the less he was able to concentrate. Damn women and their power over him. Paddy felt truly helpless as Tess began to laugh. She had a lovely laughter, of course she had. It was more than frustrating. Tess sat up. Oh, but you did. I heard your call, your plea for inspiration, and I answered, did I not? She asked. When had he done that? The only sort of thing that Paddy could remember had been when he thought about how much nicer it would be if he was actually a good violinist. Oh, that was probably what she meant. He could see her point. There was just one little detail that did not fit. But how did you hear my thoughts? He asked. It did not seem to surprise her. She did not even hesitate as he asked, just kept on picking up her discarded clothes, at least Paddy thought if they were hers, from the floor. I am a leery Sid, or I think you call them vampires. What did you think? What do you think how I... Sorry, this sentence is... What do you think how I did it? Okay, kind of makes sense. Called it. She was a vampire. I told you. I am 3 for 3 today. I'm so happy. How on earth was he supposed to know? It was absolutely impossible that she could have read his thoughts. Such powers did not exist. She must have seduced him and asked him all sorts of questions. Suddenly Paddy wished he was dressed, that he could leave. Tess might be beautiful, but he did not need a beauty hiding such madness. He did not want madness. Paddy wanted to leave. Now. There is no such thing as magic. Oh God, no, I've just got Mr. The dude from Harry Potter, he said as she crawled closer on the bed. This is terrifying. His voice was trembling. He knew, but right now he could not be bothered with being manly. There was no real way to escape if he did not want to shove Tess off the bed, and he was too much of a gentleman to even think about that possibility. Are you sure? And with these words she reached him. Why do you think your neck hurts? At first, Paddy did not understand what she was about to do. Her lips came closer and closer to his, but then stopped at the nape of his neck. And then the pain was back, the stabbing pain. Paddy stayed conscious long enough to realize that she was drinking his blood. No, not drinking, licking. Her tongue flicked over his neck over and over again, and for some strange reason it was not sexual at all. No? She's drinking your blood! Dude! Sorry, my birds are going nuts. She was feeding on him and he was aware of it, but he was also aware of the other sensation, the rush of energy, the magic that was pulsing through his veins, starting where her tongue touched his blood. This time he did not faint. He rather felt a rush of power and control. She stopped as abruptly as she had started and looked at him, smiling sweetly. She's a succubus. Paddy grabbed her shoulders. He wanted to understand. However, she seemed to misunderstand his gesture. The creature that called herself Tess leaned forward and kissed him, sweetly with an innocence that had nothing in common with what had occurred a few moments before. It was wrong, but Paddy was no longer sure whether he truly wanted her to stop. He knew that he would have to start to react if he did not, and of course he reacted the wrong way. In his attempt to embrace her, he was too overly eager and they both fell off the bed. It was not only humiliating but also painful, reminding Paddy of his injuries. His job. Tessa's laugh stopped as abruptly as it had started. He knew that it was not the manliest thing he had ever done, but Paddy began to cry. It was all a bit too much for him. Tess took his hand and played with his fingers. Paddy, I brought you your violin. Please take it and play something for me. If you don't believe me after that, you are free to go, and I shall never bother you again. And she spoke the truth. There in her hands, Paddy had nearly not seen it, was his old violin. How had she gotten it? It did not look any different, but something was off. He grabbed the instrument with an entirely different attitude than usual. For the first time, he knew that he was going to play well before he had even touched the violin. Yeah, she's messing with him. Oh my God. I did call it. I told you I called it before. It was a simple tune, but the moment he put his bow on the instrument, he knew that he would be great, and he really wanted to impress the woman in front of him, wanted to deserve what she claimed to have given him, if she had really given it. The moment he played the first tune, he knew that she had. There was no way he had been playing that well before. This was not him. He could not be the one playing these tunes. As he looked at Tess, he saw her smile, and for some reason it made him forgive her. Forgive her for all the blood she had taken along with his dignity. She had given him music, and he was more than grateful. Her smile right now made him want to keep on playing for her forever. He did not want this feeling to fade. "Thank you," he whispered as he lowered the bow. "Thank you so very much." Tess stood up and walked towards him, taking his hand, and just looked at him for a moment. That moment felt like eternity, them holding hands, naked, Paddy still holding onto his violin, and Tess with bloody tears in the corner of her eyes. Earlier he might have refused to believe that she was a vampire, but now there was no chance to deny it, and weirdly, Paddy did not mind it any more. Tess raised her other hand to his cheek, and he leaned into it, closing his eyes. "It won't last forever," she said. "Only about a day after every time I take your blood, and I can only take it if you give it more or less willingly." She sounded almost sad. Paddy did not want her to be upset. Tess was meant to be happy. She had given him music, and he would do anything to keep it. "Whatever you want," he said. She had him, and he knew that it was not good, but right now Paddy was just beyond caring. Whatever she could demand, he would agree to it. Though he was a bit worried, Tess seemed to be exceedingly nervous, as if she was carefully considering her words. "Paddy, I absolutely understand. You hate me right now, but you were the one begging for inspiration, and I merely followed your call. You can't blame me for your own ideas, but we will need a contract. Do you see these scars?" Paddy stared at the scars as she pointed at her arm, the ones who had not been there before. "I get one for each time I take blood without the one I'm taking it from having signed a contract of consent. I have it with me. You could sign it now. Just be aware that it might be considered a sin, and you can only get out if they find someone to replace you. But in the end, all sins are just attempts to fill the voids, aren't they?" "Then make me a sinner. Give me that damn contract and I'll sign it, no second thoughts," Paddy said. As he put the pen on the paper, Paddy could see his hand shake. The more he concentrated, the stronger the shaking became. Finally, he put the most unreadable signature of his life on the paper. Tess smiled. She leaned forward and kissed him, her lips still tasting of blood. His blood, and he kissed her back. Partially because he wanted to, and partially because he felt a bit as if it was the right thing to do. "Why don't you go downstairs to the pub and have a drink while I go and sort out our bill," she suggested, her voice suggesting a level of care that no woman had ever shown him. This woman sounds perfect. Like, I'm not going to lie, she is like A-grade wife material. First book read was good also. Yeah. No, you guys today on the show have just been A-grade writing. Thank you guys so much. Paddy was still too shocked to say anything, let alone disagree with her in any way. On his way down, he remembered that she should have been at work hours ago, but he guessed that it would not matter, not that he had signed Tess's contract. That he should have been at work hours ago, yep. So he just did what she told him to do. Somehow Paddy had a feeling that this would happen a lot in the future. Not that he minded. He would just have to get used to it. As he made his way down, he wondered what Tess had told the reception when they arrived yesterday. Not that he could remember much about the night. Now that he thought of it, everything he remembered was Tess. Tess in his arms. Tess holding his hands. It was all a bit surreal, to be honest. The pub was packed, but the little stage was empty. It took Paddy all his courage to ask the manager if he could possibly play a bit of violin, and by some inexplicable luck he was allowed to. He played for a few hours. Merry tunes, and the people loved them. The whole admiration was terrifying to Paddy, but after 2 hours he needed a break, preferably with a drink. Tess was still nowhere to be seen. Oh, she's gone. She's left. Paddy could not understand why the woman on the other side of the pub kept on smiling at him. It made no sense whatsoever. Initially he had even thought that she was not looking at him and turned around, but there had been no one behind him, not even Tess. It was only then that Tess was no longer around, and it worried him. Paddy turned to his dry stout again. It was starting to warm up. Ugh, warm beer. Ugh. Where was Tess? The woman was still staring at him, her green eyes like their hills, but there was something unnatural about her. The way her fair hair curled around her collar seemed to defy the laws of logic, and for some strange reason, she seemed familiar to him. Where had he seen her before? Paddy truly could not think of it. She was not the kind of woman that any man would forget meeting. Was it even humanly possible to forget meeting her? Shaking his head, Paddy resumed drinking his dry stout. As he looked up, the woman stood in front of him. She reminded him of Tess, but in a twisted way. Even though their smiles were the same, the woman in front of him looked somewhat light. Excuse me. He could not think of a better word to describe her. But still, there was this smile, and if he was truly honest with himself, it scared him. It was Tess's smile that initially scared him about her. Evening? Her voice was deeper than usual, but Paddy nearly didn't notice. He was still too shocked that she was speaking with him. What was it with women now? Before the war, no one would have looked at him twice. Evening? He wished his voice could have sounded less intimidated. She sat down next to him without asking whether the place was occupied. Paddy knew in that moment he should have said that Tess was about to join him, but for some reason he did not even attempt it. "What is your name?" asked the woman. She was leaning close, too close. He could smell her perfume. It was about as cheap as her smile, yet Paddy still felt intoxicated. "Paddy Kelly? Who are you?" he asked. Before the woman could answer, he heard a by now familiar voice behind him. Okay, good, I thought she'd done a runner on him. "Hello, Leary. I would say that it's a pleasure to meet you again, but I'd hate to lie. How many centuries has it been?" Tess's voice was icy. Only as Paddy inertly processed her words, he fully realized what she had just said. Centuries. She had said centuries. The other one was a Leary Sid, too. Sorry, I'm no good at pronouncing mythology words. He was sure, had they not been at the pub, Tess would have shown her fangs, but instead she just let out a low-key growl. "I am stronger than you, and you know that. You will leave now, and Paddy will stay here with me. I will not repeat myself." Tess was more than terrifying. Leary looked as if she was about to cry. She bit her lip and looked at Paddy, but he did the first thing he could think of, and took Tess's hand. Leary raised her head and stood up. She left without another word. "You do realise that we need to leave Belfast. Leary will not be the last one to crave your blood," Tess said after the other woman had gone through the door of the pub. Paddy knew that it was his fault. He had so many questions. Who was Leary? How did Tess know her, and what did she want with him? But that was not what he asked. "What route are you planning to take?" Paddy could not even read that map. He would obviously have to trust Tess blindly. It was not as if he had much more of a choice if Leary was truly following them. "We need to get to Mamou. I suggest that we leave Ulaid once we're ready and then go through Canocta. We should avoid Lagan, though. There are some people who can't stand me there." Paddy just looked at her and nodded. From the general sound of it, he thought that she must mean the 4 provinces. Cool. I can't believe we were that close to the end of it and the internet was just like, no. Oh, man. Okay, so that was episode 10 of One Chapter Wonder, and I know I'm just talking to myself now because the stream has just, cut everyone off, but I'll stitch this all together as a recording and then upload it manually, I think. Oh, man. So if there is anyone watching, or just to you watching this recording, how you going? Thank you so much to all the authors for submitting today. I had, a bunch of fun hanging out with everyone in chat, and yes, oh, Mr. Love, you're back. The internet just died. Too many sex scenes. We had, I've never had them submitted before, so I was like, oh dear. Yay, and Melissa, you're still here too. Okay, so I will now go offline and stitch the 2 recordings together, and then call the internet provider and be like, what the heck? What the heck? So, as usual, thank you so much to the authors for submitting their chapters to me today. I had so much fun reading them. So just to recap, we started off with Danielle Koste's What the Flower Says of Death, which was amazing, just so atmospheric. And she's all in the first 3,000 words of this book, she's done a really good job of setting the scene and the drama. We've got a family drama theme running through it. I'm totally here for that. Oh, too many sex scenes. That's why the internet died. It's YouTube. They're like, nope, no erotica. Thank you, Mr. Love. And second up, oh, that's okay, Melissa. It was actually a really good sesh. So I would recommend going back and not so you can hear my Gumby voice, but so you can hear the amazing work done by the other authors, and also the fact that Mr. Love made me feel like a badass mobster by letting me read City of Red, and also it was also the narrator of Red, because there was a sex scene in it, and I blushed with my entire being, because I don't actually read these submissions before the episode, so I'm reading them as you guys are, and I got to that bit and I was like, oh dear. So I tried to, because I will get told off if I read naughty stuff. Yay, blushing. I do it at the drop of a hat, so like it was like tier 10 blushing, I don't know. And then we finished up with O Negative by Alistair Sampaio Kalkuhl, which was really cool. Did cool that she was a vampire, because I don't know, I've done this a lot now, you guys, and I can make predictions, apparently. I'm gonna sign off and go back to my boring life of doing housework, because it's that time of the week, y'all. I can't wait to go back to hear it. Oh my, I may timestamp the epic blush just as its own thing. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you to the authors for submitting, and I'll see you guys next Saturday for episode 11. Bye. That is the wrong screen.